I just did a talk about the three attacks on pensioners that Keir Starmer has imposed, has provided the betrayal of the WASPy women, the fuel allowance, and the cap on care. And somebody says, well, this is a very negative take, given the fact that Rachel Reeves has promised an ambitious plan for pensions. It's ambitious, but it's flawed. And in the grand setting of Mansion House, Rachel Reeves promised the biggest pension reform in decades. But these are bold words. But like a student cramming for exams with Wikipedia, with textbooks, with AI, it looks to me that Labour hasn't done its homework. And Reeves proposed merging pension funds into colossal mega funds, directing their investments into UK private ventures like infrastructure and venture capital. She envisages this as a patriotic drive for fuel growth, rather like buying war bonds, all without spooking the ever-nervous gilt markets. She's very much aware of what Liz Truss tried and failed. And this is the catch. The analysis underpinning this mega idea is as riddled with holes as was as was Liz Truss and her chancellor. I forget his name now. The plan applies to two key pension areas: the £400 billion local government defined benefit scheme in England and Wales. Scotland, curiously, is exempt, and the defined contribution, the DC workplace pensions for private sector employees. And the latter will have new rules, including a proposed minimum fund size of £25 billion, preferably £50 billion, with fewer default investment options. And the government wants DC pensions to hold more UK equities, and the theory is that this will not only grow our economy but also offer better returns to savers. But the facts don't line up. The government's analysis, switching from international equities, especially US stocks, to UK equities, yields virtually identical long-term returns. Over 30 years, the differences are, to quote John Ralph, lost in the rounding. So why should savers risk their retirement pots for a patriotic glow like this? After all, UK equities make up just 4% of the MSCI World Index, compared to the US's 70%, yet UK DC pensions already hold 8% in UK stocks, double their neutral global weighting, and the idea of investing British might feel good, but it doesn't stand up to scrutiny. Labour loves pointing to Canada and Australia as models for its mega funds, as indeed did the Conservatives. But here's the rub. Canada's Maple 8 pensions are public sector defined benefit schemes, not DC pensions like ours. They're apples to oranges. And while Australia's DC super funds are indeed larger, they've benefited from decades of higher contributions and specific policies like dividend tax credits. These aren't features Labour plans to replicate. Worse, the UK government has delayed reviewing its own auto-enrolment contributions, putting us actually further behind. Investing in UK private assets isn't cheap. Fees for these investments are far higher than those for simple low-cost equity trackers, and performance fees, which add insult to injury, are excluded from the 0.75% cap on auto-enrolment charges. And this means savers could face higher costs with no guarantee of better returns. Then there's the nostalgic suggestion of reinstating the dividend tax credit, scrapped by Gordon Brown in 1997. And while this might incentivise UK equity investment, it would be eye-wateringly expensive. Surely a better approach would be direct tax breaks for businesses to encourage genuine growth. Now, let's talk about Emma Reynolds, the new pensions minister, who's hinted that the government might force pension funds to invest in UK assets. A bold idea, but how does it square with trustees' legal duty to act in the best interests of their members. Compelling funds to prioritise UK investments risks breaching these duties and undermining public confidence in pensions, a system already hanging by a thread. Historically, governments that have tried to dictate pension investment strategies have failed spectacularly. Labour risks adding itself to this ignominious list. And this government, like the one before it, seems allergic to proper preparation. It seems unable to do the homework. Grand promises are made, but the supporting evidence is either flimsy or missing entirely. It's as though Labour's approach is to announce first and think later, and Reeves's pension reforms are a prime example of this schoolboy pattern. Instead of forcing a patriotic investment agenda, Labour could focus on bolstering confidence in the system that already exists, increase auto-enrolment contributions, for example, reduce fees, provide tax breaks that directly benefit savers and companies alike. Labour's proposed pension reforms are more sizzle than steak, and Reeves wants to inspire confidence in Britain's economic future, but without solid analysis and careful planning. These promises risk being as fragile as the pension pots that they seek to reform. I hope this government, unlike the last, learns that ambition without preparation, that plans without practice, leads not to success but to failure. For our pensions, our economy, our future, it's time to demand that the government starts doing its homework.